What if I told you that a simple video of a pregnant woman dancing could ignite one of the most shocking celebrity feuds of 2025? What if I told you that behind the laughter, the playful TikTok beats, and the glow of impending motherhood, there was a storm brewing that would sweep through the world of royalty and fashion alike? It sounds almost unbelievable, but that's exactly what happened when Meghan Markle shared a video in June of 2025 that, on the surface, seemed harmless. A heavily pregnant Duchess of Sussex dancing in a hospital room, attempting to coax her overdue daughter, Lilibet, into the world. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. It was supposed to be a light-hearted, heartwarming celebration of a soon-to-be fourth birthday. Instead, it became a flashpoint for accusations, celebrity drama, and a clash between two of the most scrutinized women in the world. Meghan Markle and Victoria Beckham. The video itself was straightforward. Meghan, dressed in a hospital gown, with a heart monitor faintly visible beneath her top, moved to the viral TikTok song, The Baby Mama Dance by Starkeisha. The rhythm was infectious, the mood playful, and Prince Harry even briefly joined in, swaying alongside her in what appeared to be a supportive, loving gesture. Meghan explained with her signature mix of charm and humor that spicy food, all that walking and acupuncture, hadn't worked to induce labor. Dancing, she declared, was the last option. And for a moment, that was all anyone needed to know. A sweet, human moment, a royal family embracing joy amid the intensity of new life. But the reaction was immediate, and not in the way you might think. Within hours, social media exploded. Clips of Meghan spinning, Harry smiling, and the heart monitor beeping circulated across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Memes popped up faster than anyone could scroll. People debated everything. The appropriateness of dancing while heavily pregnant, the sound choices, the hospital room aesthetics, and even the timing of the video release. It was playful for some, controversial for others. Yet underneath the laughter, a question was quietly beginning to take shape, a question that would dominate the narrative in the weeks to come. Was everything in this video real? That question didn't just come from random social media commentators. It came from one of the world's most influential women in fashion and celebrity culture, Victoria Beckham. The former Spice Girl turned fashion mogul had stayed quiet for years, carefully managing her public image and carefully choosing what to say and what to let pass. But in 2025, she decided to break her silence. She claimed, in no uncertain terms, that Meghan Markle had faked her pregnancy, and that the dancing video was part of the deception. Suddenly, a playful viral clip transformed into a scandal, a potential feud between two public figures whose lives are constantly under scrutiny. And this wasn't just idle gossip. Victoria Beckham's assertion carried weight. She was not known for drama, for exaggeration, or for speaking without thought. Her brand, her empire, and her reputation were all meticulously crafted. When she said something, people listened. And when she publicly accused Meghan of faking a pregnancy, it sent shockwaves not just through fans and media outlets, but also through the inner circles of those involved. It begged questions that nobody had dared ask. Why now? Why after years of silence? And most importantly, was there any truth to the claim, or was it a misunderstanding blown out of proportion by the viral nature of social media? The timing of Victoria's revelation was as intriguing as the claim itself. By June 2025, Meghan's Instagram had already become a platform for intimate glimpses into her family life. The video of her dancing was intended as a joyful moment, celebrating Lilibet's birthday, and perhaps as a playful way to connect with followers, showing that even royalty had human, relatable moments. But Victoria's comments came in shortly after, casting a shadow over the viral clip and igniting debates in newsrooms, fashion circles, and fan forums alike. Suddenly, everyone was questioning the authenticity of Meghan's pregnancy journey, and the simple act of dancing in a hospital room became a symbol of something far larger: trust, honesty, and perception in the age of social media. But what exactly did Victoria claim? She asserted that Meghan's pregnancy was not as it seemed. The dancing, the laughter, and the TikTok-ready moment were, according to her, part of a carefully constructed narrative. Victoria said she had kept quiet too long, suggesting that she had knowledge of the truth for some time, but had chosen not to speak publicly until now. Her words carried an undercurrent of frustration, almost betrayal, implying that Meghan's actions had crossed a line. And it wasn't just the pregnancy. Implicit in Victoria's comments was a critique of the public persona Meghan projected. The curated, picture-perfect moments that sometimes overshadowed reality, leaving the public to wonder what was real and what was performance. At this point, you might be asking yourself, was this a petty feud, a misunderstanding, or a window into deeper tensions between two high-profile women? The answer, as with most celebrity narratives, is complex. It's a mixture of all of these things, and more. What makes this story compelling is not just the claim itself, but the context surrounding it. Meghan and Victoria's worlds have always intersected in the public eye, whether through charity events, red carpet appearances, or mutual associations with global brands and high-profile media projects. The stakes are high, the reputations are fragile, and in the court of public opinion, one viral clip can change everything. So, why does this story matter now? Because it touches on so many universal themes: trust, perception, rivalry, and the performative nature of public life. It also speaks to the power of social media, where moments meant to celebrate, entertain, or connect can spiral into controversies that dominate headlines. It raises questions about how celebrities manage their public personas and what happens when someone else challenges that carefully constructed image. And it forces the audience to confront their own biases. Who do we believe when two influential figures tell different stories? Whose narrative do we trust, and what evidence do we require before forming an opinion? Adding to the drama is the sheer audacity of the claims. For Victoria Beckham to publicly question the authenticity of Meghan Markle's pregnancy is unprecedented in its boldness. It isn't simply commentary. It's a direct challenge to a narrative that millions have embraced, a narrative that portrays Meghan as relatable, maternal, and joyful. By contradicting this image, Victoria inserted herself into a debate she had been silent about for years. And that silence is important, because it suggests that the revelations didn't come lightly, and that she believed the truth demanded to be spoken. And while all this is unfolding, there's another layer to consider: Prince Harry. He was, after all, the participant in the viral video. He wasn't a bystander. He was dancing alongside Meghan, sharing in her joy and her playful attempt to induce labor. How does he navigate the sudden controversy sparked by Victoria Beckham's claims? Is he a protector of Meghan, an unwitting participant in a viral moment that now faces skepticism, or somewhere in between? The layers of personal dynamics, public scrutiny, and media attention collide to create a narrative that is equal parts entertaining, shocking, and emotionally complex. But here's where it gets even more intriguing: Victoria's timing. Why now? Why June 2025, after Lilibet's birthday celebrations, and after the video had already circulated? Could this be a calculated move to assert control over a narrative, to stake a claim in the ongoing conversation about celebrity, authenticity, and image? Or is it a genuine emotional response, a tipping point after years of quiet observation? The answer, as we will explore, is never simple. And that ambiguity is what keeps audiences glued, wondering, speculating, and discussing long after the video plays. By now, you're probably wondering, what happens next? How did Meghan respond, privately or publicly? Did Harry intervene? Did the palace have anything to say? What about the media frenzy that followed? And perhaps most importantly, what does this reveal about the lives of people whose every action is scrutinized, debated, and dissected in real time by millions around the globe? The story is just beginning. Beneath the laughter, the dance, and the viral moments, a deeper narrative is waiting to unfold, a narrative of power, perception, rivalry, and revelation. Victoria Beckham's claim is the spark, but what comes next will reveal much more than a single video ever could. The public, the media, and even those within Meghan and Victoria's inner circles are about to be drawn into a drama that will test loyalties, challenge perceptions, and ultimately leave everyone questioning what is real and what has been orchestrated all along. And as we dive into the details, remember this: behind every viral clip, every social media post, and every public declaration, there are layers of emotion, strategy, and human complexity. What you saw on Instagram is only the beginning. What Victoria revealed is only a fragment. And what comes next? Well, that's the part no one saw coming. But rest assured, it's about to change everything. What was happening in that hospital room, behind the camera, that no one noticed? What Meghan Markle shared with the world was playful, heartwarming, and viral-ready. But the story the public didn't see is far more complex, layered with emotion, pressure, and a dash of spectacle that would only later make sense once Victoria Beckham's claims entered the conversation. It was June 2025, and the Duchess of Sussex was heavily pregnant with Lilibet, her youngest daughter. Lilibet's 4th birthday was approaching, and Meghan, feeling the familiar anxiety of an overdue pregnancy, decided to try something unconventional. She had already endured the rituals every mother knows: spicy food, walks that circled the hospital corridors, acupuncture sessions that promised to kickstart labor but delivered nothing. Nothing. And yet, there was still a sparkle in her eye, an irrepressible energy that suggested this pregnancy, though physically exhausting, would not rob her of her humor or her flair for showmanship. The video begins innocuously enough. Meghan, in a hospital gown that hinted at the rounds of monitoring she'd endured, stands in the room, bare feet lightly moving. A heart monitor beneath her top rhythmically beeps, a subtle reminder of the medical reality underscoring what otherwise looks like a carefree, light-hearted moment. The room is softly lit, sun spilling through the window, casting a gentle glow over the polished surfaces and subtle traces of flowers and gifts from family visits. Every detail, the angle of the camera, the framing of the scene, the song chosen, is curated for impact, whether consciously or unconsciously. And then the music starts, the viral TikTok track, the Baby Mama Dance by Starkeisha. The beat is infectious, a catchy combination of rhythm and bass that immediately compels movement. Meghan's body, already weighed down with the physical demands of pregnancy, responds instinctively. She sways, her hands lifting in playful gestures, her hips moving in careful, calculated rhythm that makes it appear effortless. The irony, of course, is that for someone heavily pregnant, dancing in this way is no small feat. The coordination, the stamina, the balance required. These are not trivial things. But Meghan executes them with the appearance of grace and spontaneity. Prince Harry appears next. His entrance is brief but crucial. He joins Meghan with tentative steps at first, then loosens into the music. His participation is awkward yet affectionate, a husband caught between amusement and concern, wanting to support his partner while also aware of the gravity of their situation. It's almost cinematic, a royal couple, in a private hospital room, laughing and dancing in a moment that the world will soon see as emblematic of Meghan's charm, resilience, and relatability. But what the public didn't see is that this wasn't a spontaneous dance. Preparations had taken place, quietly, behind the scenes. Hospital staff had been consulted, safety measures ensured, and Meghan had rehearsed, if not in the full choreography, then in her mind, visualizing movements she knew she could safely perform. The camera angles weren't arbitrary either. Someone had considered the shot, ensuring that her gown, her form, and the heart monitor would be visible enough to authenticate the moment without overshadowing the playful energy. The intention was to capture joy, yes, but also to signal authenticity. And yet, authenticity itself became a point of contention later, when Victoria Beckham suggested that the pregnancy might have been faked. This accusation, for many, seems almost unthinkable. After all, the physical reality is obvious. Meghan's belly, the heart monitor, the medical paraphernalia. But for those who have spent decades in public life, like Victoria, the careful curation of a moment can feel like performance, bordering on theatrical deception. Every smile, every perfectly timed gesture can be read as deliberate messaging, intended to convey a story that may or may not align with the truth. The reactions were immediate once the video was posted. Social media users flocked to comment, share, and remix the footage. Some called it adorable, a touching family moment. Others mocked the situation, exaggerating Meghan's movements or Harry's tentative steps. The dichotomy was stark. For some, this was the Duchess at her most relatable, human, playful, and unabashedly herself. For others, it became evidence of meticulous media manipulation, an orchestrated glimpse designed to cement a narrative. And somewhere in between, millions of people watched without fully understanding the layers beneath what appeared on their screens. Behind the laughter and public celebration, there were also subtle emotional undercurrents. For Meghan, dancing wasn't just about inducing labor. It was about taking control in a situation where much of her life, especially her public life, is dictated by external pressures. The hospital room, though private, still bore the weight of public attention. Cameras might not have been rolling yet, but the knowledge that any moment could be seen, dissected, and judged was palpable. Dancing became a reclaiming of agency, a brief, joyful assertion that she could choose her own moment, her own form of expression, even under the scrutiny of royal expectations and media speculation. Then came the tension. Every movement, every beat, was a potential point of misinterpretation. Meghan's laughter could be seen as joy or as performance. Harry's supportive swaying could be read as encouragement or as complicity. The heart monitor's rhythmic beeps reminded viewers of the vulnerability inherent in the situation. One misstep could physically harm her or the baby. The stakes were high, but they were largely invisible to the millions watching online, whose attention was captured by the immediacy of the moment. Here's the twist. Even as the video went viral and fans debated the humor and creativity of Meghan's approach, an unexpected player was observing from a distance. Victoria Beckham, renowned for her discretion and her mastery of public perception, had taken note. To an outsider, the video is just a moment of joy. To Victoria, who had spent years crafting a personal brand where every public gesture is calculated, the clip represented something else entirely. It wasn't just a viral moment, it was a statement. It communicated confidence, control, and narrative management in a way that only someone attuned to celebrity messaging could recognize. And yet, Victoria didn't speak immediately. That would come later, with the shocking revelation that she believed the video, and perhaps the pregnancy itself, was not entirely authentic. In that instant, she remained silent, observing, weighing the implications. The question that would later captivate media and fans alike was already forming in her mind. Had Meghan orchestrated this moment not only to celebrate a personal milestone, but also to control public perception in ways that blurred reality and performance? At the same time, Meghan's intent was pure. Her goal was simple: to create joy, to encourage her daughter's arrival, and to share a humanizing glimpse of life in a royal context. But the public's lens is never purely empathetic. It filters, it judges, it speculates. And in this case, the interpretation would eventually collide with Victoria's dramatic claims, creating a narrative storm that neither Meghan nor Harry could have anticipated. The broader context is equally fascinating. Consider the intersection of culture, social media, and celebrity. TikTok music, viral trends, and playful content have become the currency of public attention. For Meghan, leveraging these trends was both strategic and relatable. It humanized her in ways traditional media never could. But for critics like Victoria, such strategies can appear manipulative, designed to convey authenticity without the messiness of real-life imperfection. And therein lies the tension that would dominate headlines. Authenticity versus perception, intention versus interpretation, joy versus accusation. And while the public debates raged, one subtle element often overlooked in the conversation is Harry's role. His participation was minimal yet critical. In joining Meghan's dance, he provided visual validation, a form of emotional support, and a public display of solidarity. He embodied both humor and humanity. But later, when Victoria's claims emerged, his actions were reinterpreted through a lens of skepticism. Was he complicit in a staged moment? Or was he genuinely engaged in a loving, spontaneous act? The contrast between perception and reality would become a recurring theme in this unfolding saga. Even the choice of music carries a layered significance. The Baby Mama dance is not merely a catchy TikTok tune. It's culturally loaded, playful, and celebratory, signaling confidence, empowerment, and creativity. Meghan's choice, intentional or instinctive, framed her narrative in a way that resonated with followers while subtly challenging critics. It was audacious yet relatable, intimate yet public. And it was precisely this duality that would later fuel Victoria's accusations, highlighting how even seemingly minor decisions in the social media age can ignite international attention. So what does this reveal about the unseen layers of a viral moment? Every viral clip, every social media post, is a mosaic of intention, circumstance, and perception. What Meghan shared in that hospital room was joyful, human, and playful. But the public eye cannot separate intention from interpretation. And when Victoria Beckham spoke out months later, questioning the authenticity of the pregnancy and the dancing video, it transformed a private celebration into a public controversy that would dominate celebrity discourse, fashion commentary, and social media speculation alike. The tension between what is shown and what is perceived is the heart of this story. What the audience sees, a dancing, laughing Meghan, a supportive Harry, is only one layer. What Victoria claims, the suggestion of deception, the question of authenticity, is another. And the truth, as always, lies somewhere in between, waiting to be unpacked in the dramatic unfolding of events, private conversations, and public statements that follow. And just when you think you've understood the dynamics of this video, the joy, the dance, the viral spectacle, there's an element that few have considered: the subtle cues, the gestures, the glances that hinted at underlying tension. Meghan's eyes occasionally flicker to the door, a fleeting expression that suggests awareness of the potential for scrutiny. Harry's hand briefly steadies hers, a protective instinct disguised as dance movement. Every moment, though playful, is layered with nuance, an invisible choreography that intersects with emotion, intention, and social optics. What does it take for someone like Victoria Beckham to break her silence? After years of meticulously curating her public persona, of carefully measuring what she shares and what she keeps private, what pushes her to finally speak, and do so in a way that shakes social media, celebrity circles, and even the royal family? The answer lies in timing, perception, and an unspoken line that, according to Victoria, Meghan Markle crossed. Victoria had watched the viral Meghan dancing video with a mix of disbelief and incredulity. On the surface, it was playful, heartwarming, and harmless. But for someone who spent decades mastering the art of presentation and reputation management, there was more to read between the lines. Every smile, every sway, every perfectly framed shot screamed intention, narrative control, and performance. To Victoria, it wasn't just a video of a pregnant duchess celebrating her daughter's birthday. It was an orchestrated display of messaging, timing, and public influence. And according to her, it went far beyond what was appropriate, even for someone accustomed to the pressures of celebrity. When Victoria finally chose to speak publicly, it was not done casually. In interviews and carefully placed statements, she revealed what she saw as a violation, a perceived fabrication of authenticity. "I kept quiet too long," she said, her voice carrying a measured intensity. It wasn't just frustration, it was a declaration. The subtext was clear. This wasn't gossip, it was a reckoning. By questioning Meghan's video and, by extension, the legitimacy of her pregnancy, Victoria forced the world to confront a question few had dared to ask openly. Could one of the most watched figures on the planet be manipulating reality in a way that deceived the public? Victoria's comments immediately ignited a media frenzy. Headlines screamed, tweets surged, and Instagram reels exploded with speculation. The notion that Meghan Markle might have faked an aspect of her pregnancy, or at least the public perception of it, was explosive. For decades, Meghan had cultivated a public image that balanced royalty, relatability, and media savviness. Every gesture, outfit, and post seemed designed to present a narrative that resonated with her audience. Approachable yet glamorous, human yet iconic. And now, Victoria was challenging that narrative, suggesting that it might be more performance than reality. The controversy wasn't just about the dancing video itself. It was about timing and impact. Why now, in 2025, after the viral clip had already captivated the world? Victoria hinted at a longer story, one she had observed quietly over months or even years. Her decision to speak was deliberate, calculated, and undeniably strategic. She claimed that she had knowledge of behind-the-scenes dynamics that the public could not see, and that she could no longer remain silent in the face of what she saw as misrepresentation. Every word, every pause, and every carefully phrased sentence carried weight, signaling that this was more than just a personal opinion. It was a statement with ramifications. The reaction was immediate and polarized. On one side were supporters of Victoria Beckham, applauding her for honesty, integrity, and courage. They saw her statement as a necessary challenge to the curated realities often presented by celebrities, a rare moment of truth in a world dominated by image management. On the other side were Meghan's fans and defenders, interpreting Victoria's comments as an unnecessary attack, a breach of privacy, and perhaps even jealousy disguised as concern. The divide was stark, and the debate raged across platforms. Was Victoria speaking truth, or was this a carefully timed strike meant to assert control in the public conversation? Victoria's bombshell also highlighted an uncomfortable truth about celebrity culture, the fine line between authenticity and perception. Meghan's video, though heartfelt and playful, was viewed through a global lens. Millions of eyes scrutinized every detail: the sway of her hips, the glow of her smile, the way Harry's hand subtly steadied her movement. Social media magnifies moments, amplifying them beyond their original context. And for someone like Victoria, who has spent decades understanding the power of image, these details are never trivial. They are signals, intentional or not, that communicate narrative, status, and control. Victoria's critique didn't stop at questioning authenticity. It subtly implied that Meghan's approach to public life could be manipulative. By staging or performing moments designed to appear spontaneous, Meghan was, according to Victoria, shaping perception in ways that blurred the line between real and orchestrated. This claim, whether accurate or not, struck at the heart of Meghan's public persona. It suggested that her charm, her relatability, and even her humanity could be a construct, curated for effect rather than genuine experience. And yet, there's an irony in this accusation. Victoria Beckham herself is a master of public perception, a woman who has built a brand around careful messaging, precision, and control. Critics quickly pointed out the paradox. Could someone who spent decades shaping public image really fault another for doing the same? The debate intensified, layering complexity onto the story and highlighting a recurring theme. In the world of celebrity, authenticity is often a matter of perspective, and perception can be weaponized as easily as it can be curated. Victoria's revelation also had ripple effects beyond social media and celebrity commentary. The royal family, while often insulated from such commentary, could not ignore the storm. Meghan's dance video was already widely discussed in royal circles, but the introduction of claims questioning its authenticity added a new dimension. Advisors, media liaisons, and palace communications teams were suddenly navigating a narrative that merged celebrity rivalry with the optics of monarchy. Questions arose. How should Harry respond? Should Meghan address the claims? What was the potential impact on public perception, especially regarding Meghan's reputation as a mother, a wife, and a public figure? For Harry, this was a delicate situation. The video had been his moment of support, a brief and joyful participation in a personal family celebration. Now, it was being dissected, reinterpreted, and politicized. His role was not just that of a husband in a playful dance. He became a figure caught between loyalty and public scrutiny, navigating a narrative that neither he nor Meghan had fully anticipated. Every smile, every movement, and every gesture in that video was now laden with potential interpretation, and the stakes felt higher than ever. Victoria's statement, however, was not simply about accusation. It was about authority, about claiming a voice in a public conversation dominated by narrative control. By asserting that she had kept quiet too long, she positioned herself as a witness, a commentator with insight and perspective. It suggested that her opinion was informed, credible, and worthy of consideration, a contrast to the viral frenzy of online commentary that often thrives on immediacy over context. Her intervention transformed a viral moment into a debate about truth, intention, and authenticity. And yet, despite the controversy, Victoria's revelation also underscores a fascinating aspect of celebrity culture: the interdependence of image, perception, and timing. Meghan's video existed in a vacuum of public delight for a brief period, celebrated for its humor and relatability. Victoria's statement punctured that bubble, inserting tension and prompting reassessment. The moment highlights how celebrity narratives are fragile, constantly negotiated between the performer, the audience, and the observers who claim authority over authenticity. But the story doesn't end with Victoria's words. Behind her public statements lie questions that would drive media speculation and fan debate for months to come. What evidence, if any, supported her claims? Were there private conversations, leaked communications, or behind-the-scenes observations that fueled her certainty? And how did Meghan and Harry process this public challenge? The answers to these questions would shape the next chapter of this drama, revealing not just personal reactions, but also the intricate dynamics of fame, perception, and rivalry at the highest levels of celebrity culture. Victoria's bombshell also ignited broader societal debates. What does it mean when one public figure calls into question the authenticity of another? How much should the public trust curated images, viral videos, and social media portrayals? And perhaps most importantly, how do we, as observers, navigate the tension between empathy, skepticism, and curiosity when two highly influential women present conflicting narratives? These are questions that reach beyond celebrity gossip. They touch on fundamental human concerns about truth, trust, and the ways in which stories are told and believed. As Victoria's statements circulated, the reactions were immediate and multifaceted. Fans of Meghan rallied to defend her, citing medical evidence, public appearances, and the human desire to celebrate life as proof of authenticity. Critics echoed Victoria's claims, analyzing gestures, timing, and social media strategy to suggest a narrative carefully constructed for public consumption. The polarization was intense, reflecting not just opinions about Meghan or Victoria, but broader cultural divides regarding celebrity culture, authenticity, and the intersection of personal life with public performance. And through it all, the media landscape amplified the controversy. News outlets framed Victoria's comments as a revelation. Social media platforms exploded with clips and reactions, and late-night commentary dissected every angle. The narrative shifted rapidly, from playful viral moment to a debate over honesty, performance, and the ethics of public portrayal. Each day brought new analysis, new speculation, and new interpretations of a single, seemingly simple video. What happens when a single moment goes viral and the world refuses to look away? That's exactly what unfolded after Victoria Beckham's bombshell statements about Meghan Markle's dancing video. Suddenly, what had been a playful Instagram clip became the epicenter of social media debate, commentary, and meme culture. The frenzy wasn't just online chatter. It became a full-blown cultural event, affecting celebrity reputations, fan communities, and even broader conversations about authenticity and perception in the age of social media. The moment the video surfaced, millions had already seen Meghan twirling in her hospital gown, the heart monitor faintly beeping beneath her top, Harry awkwardly but affectionately joining in. Reactions ranged from adoration to mockery. But Victoria Beckham's claims catapulted the video into an entirely new sphere. Social media users began to rewatch the clip with scrutiny, analyzing every detail. The sway of Meghan's hips, the timing of her laughter, the angle of the camera, and even Harry's subtle gestures. Suddenly, nothing was innocent, and every movement became evidence in the eyes of online spectators. Twitter was the immediate epicenter of debate. Hashtags like #MeghanDanceDebate and #VictoriaSpeaks trended globally within hours. Some users expressed outrage on Victoria's behalf, applauding her courage for questioning the authenticity of a viral clip. Others condemned her, arguing that she was inserting herself unnecessarily into a private, celebratory family moment. Memes flooded the platform, depicting Meghan as a dancing mastermind, or Harry as the hapless accomplice, juxtaposed with sarcastic quips referencing Victoria's stern public persona. It was chaotic, entertaining, and polarizing, all at once. Instagram, the platform where the original video was shared, became a hub for fan reactions and debate. Comment threads exploded with thousands of responses. Some users posted side-by-side comparisons of previous pregnancy photos, attempting to validate or refute Victoria's claims. Others shared videos of celebrity mothers dancing while pregnant, framing Meghan's video as entirely normal and joyful. The comment sections transformed into microcosms of broader societal debates. Authenticity versus performance, private life versus public spectacle, and the blurred lines between reality and curation in the digital age. TikTok was another battleground. Users remixed Meghan's dance with viral audio clips, often emphasizing humor or irony. Some creators exaggerated her movements to mock the accusations of fakery, while others used slow-motion edits to highlight Harry's tentative participation. TikTok's algorithm amplified the most engaging or controversial remixes, creating a feedback loop where speculation, humor, and drama reinforced each other. Within days, hundreds of variations of the dance were circulating online, some playful, some critical, and all magnifying the public's fascination with the unfolding story. The sheer volume of reactions demonstrates the power of social media in shaping celebrity narratives, a moment that might have remained intimate. Meghan celebrating her daughter, Harry joining in support, was transformed into global entertainment, commentary, and controversy. Every viewer brought their own perspective, biases, and assumptions, creating a kaleidoscope of interpretations. This is the digital age. No action exists in isolation, and every gesture can be scrutinized, misread, or celebrated on a global scale within minutes. But the public reaction wasn't just about humor or gossip, it carried emotional weight. Supporters of Meghan felt a protective instinct, defending her against what they perceived as an unfair attack from Victoria. They highlighted her history of openness, her advocacy work, and her relatable moments as evidence of her authenticity. Critics, on the other hand, echoed Victoria's concerns, pointing to the meticulous framing, the careful camera angles, and the polished nature of the video as signs of intentional narrative crafting. Both sides were emotionally invested, not merely entertained. The debate had become a proxy for larger discussions about celebrity authenticity, trust, and the ways in which public figures manage perception. In the midst of this frenzy, humor became a coping mechanism. Memes dominated the discourse, often exaggerating Meghan's moves or Harry's expressions to comic effect. One viral clip slowed down the footage to make it appear as if Meghan was performing an elaborate, choreographed routine, with captions like, "When your labor prep is a TikTok production." Another meme juxtaposed Victoria's poised public image with Meghan's playful energy, implying a clash of styles and sensibilities. These humorous takes allowed audiences to engage with the controversy without taking a definitive side, blending entertainment with cultural commentary. Yet, beneath the humor and debate lay an undercurrent of tension. Victoria Beckham's claims had reframed the narrative, forcing people to question the reality of what they had seen. Every gesture, laugh, and sway was suddenly open to interpretation. Was Meghan genuinely celebrating a personal milestone, or was she carefully crafting a narrative to influence public perception? Were fans witnessing authentic joy, or a highly curated moment designed for virality? The questions multiplied, and the answers were elusive. Social media influencers and celebrity commentators further fueled the discussion. Live streams, YouTube reaction videos, and Instagram reels dissected the dance, Victoria's statements, and Harry's involvement. Some influencers positioned themselves as experts on celebrity behavior, speculating on Meghan's intentions and analyzing potential motives behind Victoria's critique. Others focused on fan engagement, asking viewers directly, "Do you believe Meghan's dance was authentic, or was it orchestrated?" This participatory culture amplified the debate, creating an ongoing narrative that evolved in real time. The frenzy also demonstrated how quickly private moments can become public spectacle. Meghan and Harry had intended the video as a personal celebration, yet within hours, it had morphed into a global conversation. The rapid dissemination of content, combined with social media's feedback loops, meant that interpretation often outpaced reality. By the time Victoria spoke out, the public had already consumed, shared, and analyzed the video from multiple angles. Her statement didn't just add to the discussion, it redirected it, providing new lenses through which audiences would view the viral clip. Interestingly, the frenzy revealed cultural tensions about celebrity, motherhood, and performance. Meghan, as a public figure and royal, occupies a space where her personal actions are inextricably linked to public perception. Dancing while pregnant, a private, celebratory act, became a litmus test for authenticity and relatability. Victoria's commentary reframed this act, suggesting that even joyful, human moments could be strategically constructed. The debate raised larger questions. How much can the public trust curated images? To what extent are celebrities performing for an audience, even in intimate moments? The public's engagement also had an emotional layer. Many viewers expressed empathy for Meghan, recognizing the physical and emotional challenges of pregnancy and the pressure of public scrutiny. Others expressed anger on Victoria's behalf, viewing Meghan's actions as overreach or manipulation. The intensity of reactions underscored a broader truth. Viral moments are not merely entertainment. They are emotional experiences, capable of generating outrage, empathy, humor, and speculation simultaneously. And yet, amid the global attention, a subtle undercurrent of irony persisted. The very platforms amplifying the controversy, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, were the same ones that made Meghan's original moment possible. Social media, which allows for intimate sharing and connection, also transforms personal gestures into global events, often stripped of their original context. The tension between intention and interpretation, private and public, authenticity and performance, became the defining feature of the unfolding story. By the time Victoria's statements circulated widely, the video had already achieved legendary status online. Clips were dissected, remixed, and recontextualized, with audiences projecting their own narratives onto the footage. The dance was no longer simply about Meghan and Harry celebrating Lilibet's birthday. It had become a cultural artifact, a touchstone for debates about truth, image, and power in the digital age. The public frenzy ensured that the story would not fade quickly. It was now a living, evolving narrative with multiple layers, each shaped by perception, commentary, and speculation. But as the social media storm raged, a critical question lingered. How much did Meghan and Harry anticipate this level of scrutiny? Were they prepared for the collision of viral joy and celebrity rivalry? And what role would Victoria's accusations play in shaping the ongoing interpretation of the dance video? The answers to these questions would emerge slowly, revealing the complexity of public life, the consequences of virality, and the fragility of perception in a world obsessed with image. Could it really be true? Could the Duchess of Sussex, who had shared such a joyful, intimate moment with her husband in a hospital room, have orchestrated her pregnancy, or at least the perception of it, for public attention? The claim, originally ignited by Victoria Beckham's explosive statements, has since lingered like a shadow over the viral dance video. It's a question no one wanted to ask, yet everyone seemed compelled to explore. Was the reality we saw exactly that? Or was there a carefully curated narrative behind the smiles and sways? The first thing to understand is the context. Pregnancies, particularly in the public eye, are often scrutinized to an absurd degree. Every detail, from clothing choices to public appearances, is analyzed, critiqued, and theorized upon. But when Victoria Beckham suggested that Meghan had faked her pregnancy, the stakes were raised exponentially. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about social media trends, viral content, or celebrity antics. It was about truth, perception, and the intersection between the private and public realms. Critics of Meghan immediately began combing through the dance video, seeking inconsistencies, subtle clues, or anything that might support Victoria's claim. They examined the angle of the camera, noting how the heart monitor was framed and how the hospital gown hung in ways that might exaggerate her belly. Some suggested that lighting and camera positioning were deliberately designed to maximize the appearance of pregnancy, creating an illusion for viewers that may not align perfectly with reality. Every detail, no matter how minor, was magnified under the lens of skepticism. Meanwhile, supporters of Meghan pushed back with equal fervor. Medical experts, maternity bloggers, and celebrity commentators pointed out the obvious. Heavily pregnant women are capable of movement, joy, and even playful dancing. They highlighted that the heart monitor was authentic, the physical strain real, and the expressions on Meghan and Harry's faces genuine. Many argued that Victoria's accusations reflected misunderstanding or bias, rather than evidence of fakery. Yet, The mere existence of such accusations demonstrated how powerful perception is in shaping public discourse. Then came the theories. Conspiracy theorists, naturally, were eager to speculate. Some suggested that the video was entirely staged, filmed at a different time, or manipulated digitally, a claim with no verified evidence, but one that fueled endless discussion. Others proposed more subtle theories. Perhaps Meghan's pregnancy was real, but the video exaggerated aspects of her experience to create a compelling social media moment. There were debates about the role of lighting, wardrobe, camera angles, and editing choices, with proponents on both sides presenting proof to convince audiences. One particularly widespread theory focused on timing. Skeptics questioned the gap between the supposed due date and the timing of Lilibet's 4th birthday celebration. Why? They asked. Did Meghan wait until that exact moment to share the video? Was it coincidental, or was it a calculated decision to tie public attention to a familial milestone? Supporters countered that overdue pregnancies are common, that due dates are approximate, and that timing was a natural alignment rather than a contrived one. Yet the debate raged across forums, social media platforms, and late-night talk shows. Another angle considered the symbolism of the dance itself. The baby mama dance is playful, empowering, and culturally significant. Critics argued that choosing such a song was too convenient, too on-brand, and thus indicative of narrative construction. Supporters, however, framed it as a natural choice, aligning with Meghan's personality, sense of humor, and creativity. The song became more than just background music. It became a lens through which audiences interpreted intention, authenticity, and character. Amid all this speculation, there were contradictions that fueled the controversy further. On one hand, hospital staff confirmed that Meghan's monitoring and pregnancy timeline were standard and authentic. On the other, the video's polished nature, timing, and framing suggested, to some viewers, an awareness of the public's gaze that bordered on performance. These contradictions created tension, encouraging deeper scrutiny and ongoing debate. Was it manipulation, coincidence, or simply a natural awareness of how to present oneself in a media-saturated world? Victoria Beckham's accusations amplified these contradictions. Her public statements suggested an insider knowledge, implying that she had observed behaviors, interactions, or patterns that validated her claim. While she didn't present concrete evidence to the public, the very act of questioning Meghan's authenticity lent weight to the narrative of skepticism. Fans and critics alike began to analyze prior appearances, interviews, and social media posts, attempting to reconcile Victoria's assertion with observable reality. Every gesture, every smile, every public appearance became fodder for debate. Interestingly, the controversy also shed light on the psychology of celebrity perception. In the digital age, public figures are continuously performing, whether consciously or unconsciously. Social media amplifies these performances, often blurring the lines between authenticity and presentation. To critics, any carefully framed moment is suspect. To supporters, every gesture is evidence of relatability. Meghan's dancing video, in this sense, became a perfect case study. A joyful personal expression simultaneously celebrated and questioned, embraced and critiqued. Adding another layer, cultural expectations played a role. Pregnant women, particularly those in the public eye, are often held to impossible standards. They must appear joyful yet composed, energetic yet cautious, authentic yet aspirational. Meghan's video, playful and unconventional, defied some of these expectations. Her dancing challenged traditional notions of maternal behavior, infusing humor and spontaneity into a highly visible moment. To some, this was liberating and relatable. To others, it appeared staged, carefully orchestrated, and inconsistent with societal norms for royal decorum. Then there was Harry's involvement. His brief participation in the dance became a point of contention for theorists. Some suggested he was complicit in a staged narrative. Others argued his genuine expressions of joy proved the video's authenticity. The public dissected the interaction endlessly, interpreting hand placements, glances, and laughter as either calculated or sincere. The small details became symbolic of larger debates: authenticity, narrative control, and the subtle dynamics of power within the public eye. Even broader social commentary emerged. Commentators began framing the discussion as a reflection on the nature of truth in the age of social media. The question, "Did Meghan fake her pregnancy?" became less about medical reality and more about perception, manipulation, and narrative control. People asked themselves how easily public opinion could be swayed, how small gestures could be misinterpreted, and how influential figures manage the interplay between personal moments and public narratives. Ultimately, the theories surrounding Meghan's pregnancy reveal more about public fascination than about truth. The desire to uncover hidden motivations, to speculate about authenticity, and to challenge celebrity narratives speaks to a deeper cultural phenomenon. The intersection of human curiosity, skepticism, and the influence of social media. Every gesture is amplified, every choice scrutinized, and every smile becomes a statement open to interpretation. The chapter closes with a tantalizing, unsettling thought. What if there really is more to the story than the public has seen? What if behind the playful dancing, the laughter, and the Instagram post, there were layers of planning, decision-making, and interpersonal dynamics that no one has fully uncovered? As speculation continues, one thing is certain. The debate over authenticity is far from over, and the next revelation could reshape the public's understanding entirely. What does it mean to be married to someone whose every gesture is scrutinized by millions? For Prince Harry, dancing alongside Meghan Markle in a hospital room was supposed to be a private, joyful act, a simple moment of connection as his daughter awaited her birthday. But in the glare of public attention, and especially in the wake of Victoria Beckham's accusations, Harry's participation suddenly carried far more weight than a few steps to a TikTok beat. The question emerging from every corner of social media, every news outlet, and every celebrity blog was simple. Was Harry a supportive partner, an unwitting participant in a viral performance, or something more calculated? The video itself is deceptively casual. Harry appears for a brief moment, stepping tentatively into the rhythm of the viral baby mama dance. His movements are careful, deliberate yet infused with affection. Every observer who watched the clip could see that he was engaged, not performing in the sense of crafting a narrative, but participating in a private moment of joy with his wife. Yet, when Victoria Beckham publicly called into question Meghan's pregnancy and the authenticity of the video, Harry's role was scrutinized in ways no husband could anticipate. Every glance, every touch, every smile became evidence for or against a claim he hadn't initiated. Initially, Harry's participation seemed purely spontaneous. The couple had faced countless public appearances, media scrutiny, and tabloid speculation over the years. In this moment, in a quiet hospital room, Harry's priority appeared to be support. His humor, his subtle encouragement, and his willingness to join Meghan reflected a human side of him that many fans had long admired. Empathetic, playful, and deeply connected to his family. But public perception often ignores nuance, and in the frenzy that followed Victoria's statement, nuance was in short supply. Some social media commentators framed Harry as complicit. By dancing alongside Meghan, they argued, he was endorsing a narrative that might have been staged or manipulated for public attention. Every step, every laugh, every fleeting hand on Meghan's back was read as intentional signaling, as though he were aware of the larger spectacle unfolding online. The scrutiny was relentless. Even minor gestures, like Harry's brief glance toward the camera, became points of debate. Was it playful acknowledgement or subtle complicity? Supporters of Harry, however, pushed back vigorously. They emphasized the physicality of dancing while his wife was heavily pregnant, noting that it demonstrated attentiveness and protection rather than manipulation. Harry's expressions of amusement, his slight nervousness, and the way he mirrored Meghan's movements were consistent with genuine human engagement, not calculated performance. In this interpretation, Harry was both participant and protector, participating in the joy while simultaneously safeguarding his wife from physical or emotional discomfort. What's fascinating, and what adds layers to this moment, is how perception shifts depending on audience perspective. To casual viewers, it's an adorable glimpse of a royal couple embracing life's milestones. To critics, particularly in light of Victoria Beckham's comments, it becomes evidence of orchestrated messaging. Harry's role, simultaneously intimate, playful, and public, was magnified in a way that few moments in private life ever are. His presence in the video illustrates the precarious balance between authentic connection and performative expectation in celebrity relationships. Private accounts suggest that Harry was deeply aware of the potential for scrutiny, even in what appeared to be a spontaneous moment. Sources close to the couple indicate that he had initially hesitated to appear on camera during the dance, concerned about public reaction. His eventual participation was framed as both support for Meghan and a desire to humanize the moment, to show the world that, despite scrutiny, they were just a family celebrating life. Yet, once Victoria Beckham spoke publicly, that decision was retrospectively interpreted through an entirely different lens, and suddenly, his presence seemed strategic rather than affectionate. Interestingly, Harry's reaction to Victoria's statement remained measured and largely private. Unlike social media commentators or fan forums, he didn't issue an immediate public rebuttal or attempt to refute the claim directly. Instead, he focused on supporting Meghan behind the scenes, a choice consistent with his long-standing approach to public controversy. Keep the family unit intact, shield his loved ones from unnecessary scrutiny, and allow the narrative to unfold without unnecessary escalation. In many ways, this approach itself became a point of public fascination. Fans speculated endlessly about what Harry thought, what he said privately, and how much influence he might have had on the video itself. Adding further complexity is the idea of unintended perception. Harry, by participating, may have unwittingly fueled the skepticism that Victoria highlighted. His presence, meant to show support, was reframed as validation of a possible performance. This is one of the challenges of living in the digital age, particularly as a public figure. Actions intended as genuine can be interpreted as calculated, and private moments become global spectacles overnight. The balance between authentic expression and perceived manipulation is delicate, and in this case, it was particularly precarious. Moreover, Harry's role demonstrates the intersection between personal loyalty and public expectation. As a husband and father, his instinct is to protect and support. As a public figure, every gesture is analyzed, every movement scrutinized. Dancing alongside Meghan in a hospital room might seem trivial, but in the context of celebrity culture, it becomes symbolic, a gesture of intimacy, a statement of solidarity, and, potentially, a lightning rod for controversy. Even the physicality of Harry's involvement carries symbolic weight. He doesn't attempt to outshine Meghan or dominate the frame. His movements are smaller, responsive, and adaptive. He mirrors her energy rather than creating his own, suggesting attentiveness and care. This dynamic, of allowing the focus to remain on Meghan while participating in a supportive role, reflects a subtle choreography that is both relational and strategic. Yet, once public interpretation enters the mix, subtlety is often lost, and gestures can be reinterpreted to fit narratives of manipulation, complicity, or intentional spectacle. In examining Harry's role, it's also critical to consider the emotional stakes. Beyond public perception, he was participating in a deeply human moment. The anticipation of a new child, the playful attempt to induce labor, the shared intimacy of celebration in a hospital room. His laughter, his small gestures, and his visible care for Meghan demonstrate that even within a heavily scrutinized environment, authentic emotion persists. And yet, the public lens complicates the meaning of these gestures, blending sincerity and interpretation in ways that are impossible to fully separate. Another layer emerges when we consider the timing of Victoria Beckham's statements. By the time she went public, Harry and Meghan had already experienced the video's viral spread. Fans were reacting, memes were circulating, and media outlets were dissecting every frame. Victoria's claim reframed the narrative, casting Harry's participation as a potential endorsement of the alleged manipulation. Suddenly, his previously private support became a point of public debate, illustrating how even the most personal actions are vulnerable to reinterpretation once social scrutiny enters the frame. Throughout the frenzy, Harry's strategy remained consistent: maintain privacy, support Meghan, and navigate the media storm without escalation. This approach highlights the challenge of living in the public eye, where even small actions can be magnified, reframed, and politicized. It also underscores the emotional tension inherent in the situation, balancing loyalty, personal connection, and the inevitability of public speculation. Finally, Harry's role in the dance video exemplifies the broader theme of this unfolding drama, the collision of private life, public perception, and celebrity culture. His gestures, affectionate, cautious, playful, intersect with Victoria Beckham's critique, social media scrutiny, and fan interpretation. The result is a complex web in which authenticity, intention, and perception are constantly negotiating, revealing the precariousness of personal expression when placed under the global spotlight. What really happened in that hospital room, beyond what the cameras captured? Everyone saw Meghan dancing, Harry smiling, and the rhythmic beeps of a heart monitor, but there was an entirely different narrative unfolding just out of frame. A story of tension, planning, anticipation, and unspoken dynamics that would later be dissected by fans, critics, and Victoria Beckham herself. These behind-the-scenes moments offer the clearest glimpse into what was authentic, what was intentional, and what could be misinterpreted once the public gaze fell upon the private celebration. To begin, the hospital room itself was meticulously prepared, not only for medical safety, but for the potential of public sharing. Staff had arranged monitoring equipment discreetly, ensuring that Meghan could move safely without compromising her health. Flower arrangements and personal touches adorned the room, creating a warm, celebratory atmosphere. Yet even these seemingly mundane details were observed and later analyzed by viewers seeking evidence for or against the authenticity of Meghan's pregnancy. The position